Okay, so let us continue. So next topic will be the timeline of the Philippine Association of Radiologic Technologists. So the part or the Philippine Association of Radiologic Technologists is the accredited professional organization of the radtechs in the Philippines. So after graduation, after you took the board exam and passed the board exam, so may initial registration sa PRC. And sa fees na babayaran natin sa PRC during the initial registration, kasama na dun yun, kasama na dun yung ating membership fee sa part. So it is mandatory. So the association, so before it became part, so the first name was Association of X-ray Technicians in the Philippines. So it started in 1954. So the first president of the association was Master Surgeon Gilberto Palomeque. So he was the president from 1954 up to 1997. So in 1958 to 1963, the association became inactive. So ang sabi daw nila sa mga kwento ng ating mga nakakatandang radtech, so dahil mostly sa kanila ay mga military personnel, katulad ni Mr. Palomeque who was the Master Sergeant, so may mga conflicts, may tensions kasi bawat isa sa kanila may mga opinions, so hindi sila magkakasundo, so hindi naging active na from 1958 to 1963 yung ating association. So bakit usually mga military personnel? Because they were the ones during those times na gumagamit ng X-rays, especially during wars. So kaya mostly sa kanila, sila yung mga first na nag-practice ng X-ray technology and radiologic technology. Actually during those time, X-ray technology pa lang. So sila yung mga first na nag-practice ng pag-X-ray. So walang proper education during that time. So they were only trained by doctors. So yung doctors natin, during that time, hindi pa sila actually radiologists na talaga. So galing sila sa ibang bansa, they were trained on how to use X-ray machines for production of radiograph. So pagdating sa Philippines, so in-apply din nila, tapos tinuruan yung mga military personnel. And also, since hindi lahat ng military personnel na train nila ay available always, so yung mga kitchen personnel, mga staff, yung mga janitors, yung mga IWs, so sa dietary department, so tinuruan din kung paano mag-X-ray. And if you have noticed, may mga hospitals pa rin ngayon na yung mga old radtechs natin ay hindi talaga graduate ng BSRT or ng ART or Associate of Radiologic Technologies or yung X-ray tech nga. So pag nalaman mo yung background nila, they were just janitors, dietary staff, na-train lang during those times, so way back. So anyway, bumalik sila noong 1964 na hanggang 1966. So siya pa rin yung ating president nung bumalik na yung part during that time. Then from 66 to 67, he was replaced by Mr. Jose Querido. 67, replaced by Staff Sergeant Norberto Palomo. So we all know that Staff Sergeant Norberto Palomo is the father of the radtech education here in the Philippines because he was the one who fought for the proper education or training for X-ray technology and radiologic technology. So, according sa kanya, sa kwento niya, nagkausap kami, parang close lang, nagkausap kami. So, before daw naging successful siya sa pag-start ng ART at ng RadTech course sa Philippines, so marami rin siyang nakabanggang mga doktor. Because according sa kanya, so maraming doktor ang hindi nakikita yung benefit ng pagkakaroon ng kurso na RadTech dahil sabi nila pwede naman daw i-train lang. So bakit mag-aaral ka pa ng 3 years or ng 4 years tapos kukuha ka pa ng board exam kung pwede lang naman na turuan paano mag-operate ng machine. So anyway, so we all know that he succeeded with his fight. Kaya dito tayo ngayon. So may RadTech sa Philippines. So anyway, in 1973, there were 3 different societies of radiologic technologists which emerged, and they were the Philippine Society of Medical Radiologic Technologists, or the FISMERT. So the president was Mr. Norberto Palomo. So this is the first or one of the 3 societies. So the first RadTech school in the Philippines, which was the Family Clinic and Hospital School of Radiologic Technology, or the FCH SRT. So it was the first school kung saan nag-start ang RadTech, and the head was Mr. Palomo. Then after, this was in 1969. So this was in 1969. Then after that, parang 1 year lang yata, nag-transfer si Sir Palomo sa Emilio Aguinaldo College. So nag-transfer siya because there were conflicts daw with the first school. So ang first school was the Family Clinic. So unfortunately, this year nagsara na ang Family Clinic because of the effects of pandemic. Malaki daw yung effects sa finances nila. So close na sila. And then, so first school was the Family Clinic, and the first graduates came from the Emilio Aguinaldo College. So the first one was FISMERT by Norberto Palomo. The second society was the Philippine Society of Radiologic Technologists, or the PSRT, headed by Mr. Gilberto Palomeque. Then the third one was the Philippine Institute of Radiologic Technologists, or the PERT, so which was headed by Mr. Almario Lutap. So during these times, so tatlong organizations ng RadTech ang meron tayo. So later, the 3 conflicting societies of radiologic technology were fused into one. So nagkasundo na sila, and they became the Philippine Association of Radiologic Technologists Incorporated, which where Mr. Gilberto Palomeque was the first president of the PART, or the Philippine Association of Radiologic Technologists. Okay? So nag-merge na yung FISMERT, yung PSRT at ng PERT, and it became PART. And then the first president of the PART was Mr. Gilberto Palomeque, who was also the first president of the X-ray Technicians, yung association natin nung una. So, siya pa rin. Ito. Then, here are the succeeding presidents. These are the timelines. So, in 1974 to 75, Mr. Jose Cervantes, 75 to 76, Mr. Santos Ragasa, 76 to 77, Alfonso Abrigo, 77 to 78, Mr. Benito Ringor, 78 to 80, Gabriel Mendoza, 80 to 81, Mr. Bernardo Ramos, 81 to 82, si Felix Castillo, 82 to 83, Mr. Norberto Daan, 83 to 85, so 2 years, Jose Cervantes. So bumalik siya from 74 to 75. So he was again elected as the president from 1983 to 85. So 2 years na. If you can see here, if you have noticed here, 1 year lang yung term. Ito 2 years. Then in 1983, to 85 si Cervantes, 86 to 88 bumalik ulit si Santos Ragasa. 2 years din. Then 89 to 2000 si Mr. Jack Lapay or si Jacinto Lapay. So Jack yung kanyang nickname, si Jacinto Lapay. Then 2001 up to the present is Mr. Rolando Banyares. So that is about 19 years. So 19 years na nakaupo si Mr. Banyares as the part president. So maraming issues kung bakit hindi pa siya napapalitan during those times. So ang haba na ng terms niya, long overdue na. So here are PRC's most outstanding professional awardees in the field of radiologic technology. So every year, so meron tayong ina-award na most outstanding radtech sa Philippines. So the program was spearheaded by the PRC mismo, and before announcement, before recognition of the awardee for a certain year, so a year before dapat mag-apply na for outstanding radtech. So there are qualifications set para mahirang na outstanding radtech. So first, you have to be, of course, a licensed radtech. Then also you have to, as much as possible, have a postgraduate or much higher education after your undergrad. Then also must submit NBI clearance, and then so in addition, so aside from the NBI clearance, so kailangan din i-prove mo na outstanding ka dahil marami kang nagawang kabutihan sa ating profession, like mga community service or any other activities na nagawa mo para sa radtech or sa kapakanan ng ating profession. So these are the PRC most outstanding professional awardees in the field of radiologic technology. So it started in 1994. Bakit 1994 nag-start? Because the PRC was created also in 1994. So 1994 nag-start ang PRC. So 1994 din nag-start yung awarding, of course. So 1994, the first awardee was Mr. Serafin Ocampo, then followed by Isaias Lopanco, Mr. Santos Ragasa in 1996, Romeo Pilgoni in 1997, Sir Norberto Palomo in 1998, Mr. Luis Ibarra in 1999, Gregorio Dizon in 2000. 2001, Mr. Galileo Guillermo. 2002, there was no awardee dahil wala daw nag-apply. 2003, Dr. Fortunato Gabon Jr. So, he was the first chairman of the Board of Radtech. 2004, Mr. Nilo Romeroso. 2005, Nilo Villanueva. 2006, Mr. Ramon Perez. 2007, Mr. Nicomedes Gopez. So if Dr. Gabon was the first chairman of the Board of Radtech, Mr. Gopez was the second chairman of the Board of Radtech. So deads na silang dalawa, si Dr. Gabon at si Mr. Gopez. 2008, Dr. Yasmin Navarro. 2009, Mr. Brian Gregorio. 2010, Ma'am Gisette Canales. So she is now one of the members of the Board of Radtech. 2011, si Mr. Roberto Yumol Jr. 2012, Mr. Jose Sase Logronio. 2013, so may nag-apply daw pero not qualified. Then 2014 was Mr. or Dr. Juanito Eslava. 2015, Cecilia Mananghaya. 2016, Rufo Agarao. 2017, Lilia Coswaiso. 2018, si Sir Dexter Rodelas. 2019, si Mr. Rogelio Lugto. So 2020 meron daw pero may napili na raw sila pero wala pa yung schedule ng awarding. So these are the outstanding RadTechs in the Philippines. So let's go back to the history. So in 1969, as I have mentioned, the founding and creation of the Radiologic Technology Schools, which started at the family clinic, as mentioned earlier, headed by Mr. Norberto Palomo. In 1970, the School of Radiologic Technology opened at Marian College, now Emilio Aguinaldo College, headed by Mr. Norberto Palomo. So yun yung na-mention ko kanina. So 1 year lang siya nag-start dito, but the first graduate came from AYAC or Emilio Aguinaldo College. So before, AYAC was named as Marian College. In 1973, creation of the Radiation Health Office through the presidential decree signed by President Ferdinand Marcos. The Department of Radiation Health Office was headed by Dr. Tranquilino Ilicanio Jr. Okay, so yan yung brief timeline ng ating profession. So we will now discuss the Republic Act number 7431. So lahat ng practice, ng guidelines na kailangan nating isipin, kailangan sundin ay nakasaad sa Republic Act number 7431. So if there are violations, so may mga pagkakamali sa mga practices natin as RadTechs, as professional RadTechs, so pwede tayong kasuhan because we violated a law. So this is the law of RadTech. So RA 7431 is an act regulating the practice of radiologic technology in the Philippines, also creating the Board of Radiologic Technology, defining the powers of the board and functions, and also for other purposes. So Section 1 is the title. This act shall be known and cited as the Radiologic Technology Act of 1992. So 1992 because this was approved in 1992. So this means that RA 7431 is also known as the RadTech Act of 1992. Section 2 is the Statement of Policy. It is the policy of the state to upgrade the practice of RadTech in the Philippines for the purpose of protecting the public from the hazards posed by radiation, as well as to ensure safe and proper diagnosis, treatment, and research through the application of machines and or equipment using radiation. So, na-create ang law na ito because there is a policy of the state na kailangan mag-upgrade ang ating profession to protect the public from the hazards or threats caused by radiation and to make sure na ginagamit or magagamit natin ang ating mga machines and equipment for proper diagnosis, research, and treatment. So that is the statement of policy which is based on the policy of the state. Okay? So dahil nakasaad sa ating constitution na kailangan mag-provide ng good or high quality healthcare services to the public. So that is because of that, so yung ating profession must abide by that policy. Then Section 3, definition of terms. So there are terms in this RA 7431 that we must understand. So kailangan alam natin kung anong ibig sabihin ng isang term kapag nabanggit siya anywhere in this act para magkaintindihan tayo. So these are the important terms that we must define. So the term X-ray technology, so it is an auxiliary branch of radiology which deals with the technical application of X-rays as aid in the diagnosis of diseases and injuries. So radiologic technology is a branch of radiology which deals with the technical application of radiation such as X-rays, beta, gamma, ultrasound, and radiofrequency for diagnosis and treatment of diseases. So if you have noticed, so pag X-ray technology, X-rays lang ang ginagamit, ang pwedeng i-handle. For radiologic technology, so pwedeng mag-handle ng X-rays, ng beta, gamma, ultrasound, and radiofrequency for diagnosis and treatment of diseases. And also take note that technology, X-ray technology and radiologic technology, they are branch of radiology. So, ang pagkakaiba nito sa technologist, because technologist is a person. So, technology is a branch of radiology. Technologist is a person. So, X-ray technologist is a bona fide holder of a certificate of registration for X-ray technology issued by the Board of RadTech in accordance with this Act. So matatawag ka na X-ray technologist if you have passed the board exam and you are given a certificate of registration for X-ray technology by the Board of Radiologic Technology. So hindi lang siya enough na you have passed the board exam. So kailangan meron ka ring certificate of registration. So ito yung pinaka-importante because if you have passed the board exam, and then hindi ka naman nag-process para kumuha ng certificate of registration sa PRC, so hindi ka matatawag na professional X-ray technologist or X-ray technologist. Okay? So, nag-a-apply tayo, nag-request tayo ng certificate of registration for X-ray technology sa PRC. And then, ang nagbibigay nito is the Board of Radiologic Technology through the PRC. So, next term is radiologic technologist. So, he is a bona fide holder of a certificate of registration for radiologic technology issued by the Board of Radiologic Technology in accordance with this Act. So, the same is true, the same explanation for X-ray technologies. Another term, pasensya na sa manok. Another term is radiology. It is a branch of medical science which deals with the use of radiation in the diagnosis, treatment, and research of diseases. So radiology is a branch of medical science, just like with X-ray technology, auxiliary branch of radiology, radiologic technology, auxiliary branch of radiology. So radiology and radiologist are two different things. Again, radiologist is a person. So he is a licensed physician who specializes in the diagnosis or treatment of disease with the use of radiation. Then we also have the term medical physicist. So it is a person who specializes in the application of principles and techniques of physics, kaya physicist, physics in medicine. Yung radiologists are doctors that specializes in radiology. Medical physicists, these are physicists who specializes in the application of the principles and techniques of physics in medicine. Okay? So we have also another term, board. So later in this part of the RA 7431, the word board is mentioned several times. So when we mention board later, it refers to the Board of Radiologic Technology. Then we have also the word commission. So this refers to the PRC or the Professional Regulation Commission, which was created under Presidential Decree number 223, and again, it was created in 19 1994. So, PD 223 is also known as the PRC. Okay? So, it was created in 1994. So, next, section 4. So, the practice of X-ray technology. The practice of X-ray technology shall include any and all acts by which one tenders, furnishes, or contracts to render or furnish professional service as an X-ray technologist. An X-ray technologist shall also be considered in the practice of his profession if the nature and character of his employment requires professional knowledge in the art and science of X-ray technology, and such employment or position requires that the holder thereof be an X-ray technologist. So, ibig sabihin, pwede magtrabaho ang isang X-ray technologist if ang kailangan sa isang workplace ay isang professional na may alam sa paggamit ng machines using X-rays for diagnosis. Nothing in this act shall be construed to disqualify other professionals duly registered with the Professional Regulation Commission from performing any of the acts above mentioned. So, ang sabi dito, walang nakasaad sa RA 7431, so nothing in this act. Walang nakasaad sa RA 7431 na pwede nating i-disqualify yung ibang professions na mag-handle ng ating X-ray machines, provided that they are registered by the PRC. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung ibang professional courses, yung ibang professions, yung ibang professionals, duly licensed by the PRC, ay allowed mag-perform ng diagnostic examinations using machines that emit X-rays. So, ibig sabihin, halimbawa, yung mga nurses, for example lang ha, theoretically, yung mga nurses, yung mga medtechs, midwives, pwedeng mag-X-ray. According dito, dahil walang nakasaad sa act na ito na pwede silang i-disqualify sa pag-perform ng the same work, the same duties and functions of the X-ray technologist. Okay? But wait, there's more. So ito yung provision. Provided, ibig sabihin, walang nakasaad na i-disqualify ang ibang professions na mag-perform ng trabaho ng isang X-ray tech, basta provided that under the law or laws governing their respective professions, they may perform the said acts. So, ibig sabihin, hindi sila pwedeng i-disqualify na gumawa ng trabaho ng isang radtech kahit hindi sila radtech, provided, basta, nandun sa kanilang law na pwede silang mag-X-ray. Halimbawa, yung ating mga nurses, they have their own law. So, katulad sa atin sa RadTech, we have the RadTech RadTech Act of 1992. Sila meron din. Hindi lang ako familiar kung anong number ng Republic Act nila. Pero dapat daw sa kanilang law, sa kanilang Republic Act sa nursing, nakasaad doon sa mga sections na pwede silang mag-X-ray. Okay? Ganon din. Halimbawa, yung midwife, may law din sila, dapat nakasaad doon na pwede silang mag-X-ray or mag-perform ng trabaho ng isang X-ray tech. So, with that, kung may nakasaad sa kanilang act na pwede silang mag-X-ray, pwede silang mag-perform ng trabaho ng isang X-ray tech, so we cannot disqualify them. So, hindi natin sila pwedeng ireklamo. Okay? Dahil nandun din sa kanilang act or sa kanilang law. Pero pag wala, so pwede natin silang ireklamo for violation of Section 4 of RA 7431. Okay? Another provision, provided further that no person shall use the title X-ray tech or any other title conveying the impression that he is an X-ray technologist without having been issued a certificate of registration as X-ray technologist by the Commission or the PRC in the manner provided in this act. So halimbawa, yung nurse nag-X-ray, so nag-perform ng trabaho ng isang X-ray tech. So nakasaad sa law nila na pwede silang mag-X-ray, pwede silang mag-perform ng trabaho ng X-ray tech. And okay po yun, pero hindi sila pwede magpakilala na they are X-ray technologists. Okay? Or, graduate ka ng X-ray tech, graduate ka ng Associate in Radiologic Technology, yung 3 years, pero underboard ka, meaning hindi ka nakakuha ng board or hindi ka pa pumapasa sa board, and then nagtatrabaho ka na as X-ray tech and you represent yourself as a professional because ang tawag sa iyo is X-ray technologist, so that is again a violation. So, meaning, kailangan license ka, you have passed the board exam, and you have been given or issued a certificate of registration as X-ray technologist. Okay? So, maliwanag. So next, for the practice of X-ray, Section 4, X-ray technology. Section 5 is the practice of radiologic technology. The practice of radiologic technology shall include any and all acts by which one renders, furnishes, or contracts to render or furnish professional service as a radiologic technologist. A radiologic technologist shall also be considered in the practice of his profession if the nature and character of his employment requires professional knowledge in the art and science of radiologic technology, and such employment or position requires that the holder thereof be a radiologic technologist. So, pareho din siya ng provision sa Section 4. So, pwedeng magtrabaho ang isang rad tech if ang workplace or ang clinic or ang hospital ay nangangailangan ng isang radiologic technologist. So halimbawa, if ang hospital ay nangangailangan ng isang X-ray technologist lang, kasi X-ray lang yung ipiperform doon sa clinic, so pwede pa rin mag-apply ang RadTech kahit hindi siya X-ray tech because sakop pa rin yun ng ating field. Because we can, according to definition kanina, sa Section 3, so the RadTech can use X-rays, beta, gamma, radiofrequency, ultrasound for the treatment, diagnosis, and research of diseases. Pag X-ray tech lang, X-ray lang pwede nilang i-handle. So, again, to make it clear, pag ang isang hospital or clinic ay naghahanap ng X-ray tech for a vacant position, pwedeng mag-apply ang RadTech at pwede siyang matanggap and perform the duties and functions of the X-ray tech. But halimbawa, ang isang facility, institution, clinic, or hospital ay naghahanap ng RadTech dahil may mga CT scan, may mga MRI, ultrasound, hindi pwedeng mag-apply ang isang X-ray tech. Kasi X-ray lang ang pwede niyang hawakan. Okay? So, pag RadTech, pwede mong gawin ang trabaho ng X-ray tech. Pag X-ray tech, hindi ka allowed. Pwede mo siyang gawin, pero hindi ka allowed legally to perform the work of a RadTech. Okay? So, nothing in this act shall be construed to disqualify other professionals duly registered with the Professional Regulation Commission from performing any of the acts above mentioned. So, pareho rin siya nung na-explain ko kanina that walang nakasaad sa act na ito na pwede nating i-disqualify or i-discriminate or kasuhan ang ibang professionals na gumaganap sa tungkulin natin as RadTechs. Provided, again, the same explanation then. Provided na nakasaad sa law nila na pwede silang mag-perform as radiologic technologist. Nakasaad sa law nila, for example, ng nursing, ng midwife, ng medtech, provided nakasaad sa law nila that they can handle MRI machine, they can operate MRI machine, they can operate CT scan, nuclear medicine machine, and the like. Okay? Provided further na hindi sila pwedeng magpakilala na sila ay radiologic technologist. And again, if graduate ka ng BSRT pero hindi ka pa pasado sa exam, wala ka pang certificate of registration as RadTech, so hindi ka rin pwedeng magpakilala na RadTech or radiologic technologist, and hindi ka pwedeng magtrabaho as RadTech if you are not licensed and issued a certificate of registration as RadTech. Okay? So, sa mga nakikita natin ngayon, may mga ibang professionals na ginagampanan na ang ating trabaho. Especially sa nuclear medicine. Usually, mga medtech na ang nandun. So, or sa ultrasound, usually mga midwife nandun. Mga nurses na ang nandun. So, wala nang RadTech. So, actually, pwede natin silang makasuhan. Violation siya ng ating RA 7431, Section 4 or Section 5. Okay, Section 6, creation of the Board of Radiologic Technology. So there is hereby created a Board of Radiologic Technology which shall be composed of 1 chairman and 4 members, all of whom shall be appointed by the President. So ang members of the Board of RadTech, they are appointed. So hindi sila ini-elect. They are appointed by the President of the Philippines upon the recommendation of the PRC, and the Commission shall recommend 3 RadTechs from a list to be submitted by the Association of Radiologic Technologists. So before I'll explain this, let me continue. So 3 from the Association of RadTechs, 1 radiologist from a list to be submitted by the Association of Radiologists, and 1 medical physicist from a list to be submitted by the Association of Medical Physicists. Provided, however, that the said association are accredited in accordance with Presidential Decree number 223 or 223 or the PRC. Provided further that each person whose name is submitted shall possess the qualifications prescribed in Section 7 of this Act. So sa Section 7, doon nakasaad lahat ng mga qualifications para pwede kang maging members ng Board of RadTech. So ang sabi dito, so ang isang Board of RadTech composed of 1 chairman and 4 members. So bali 5 lahat. So that is composed, yung 5 na ito ay composed of 3 RadTechs, isang radiologist, then isang medical physicist. Okay? So, 3 RadTech, isang radiologist, at isang medical physicist. So, yung 3 RadTech must be endorsed, must be recommended by the accredited Association of RadTechs. So, in the Philippines, yun yung tinatawag natin na APO or the Accredited Professional Organization. So, sa RadTech, ang APO natin is the PART. So, ito yung recognized ng PRC na association ng official association ng RadTech. So, ang PART, maglilista ngayon ng 3 nominees for the members of the Board of RadTech. And then, the APO of the radiologist, Hindi lang ako sure kung anong pangalan ng APO nila, Association of Radiologists, hindi ko alam, or Philippine College of Radiology. And then we have also another recommendation from the APO of the medical physicists. So usually they are engineers, medical physicists. So usually mga engineers ito sila. So sa part, magre-recommend ng 3 radtech. Sa radiologist, isang radiologist. Sa medical physicist, isang medical physicist. So all in all, we have 5. So magre-recommend sila, and dapat yung na-recommend ng ating APO ay swak or pasok doon sa qualification stated in Section 7. So the names of the radtechs, 3 radtechs, isang radio at isang physicist, they will be submitted to the PRC. The PRC will double check, will re-evaluate the nominees kung talaga bang qualified sila, kung talaga bang pasado sila sa qualification set by the RA 7431 Section 7. Again, Section 7 discusses the qualifications of the members of the Board of RadTech. And then, after recommendation ng APO sa PRC, the PRC will recommend the names to the President. Then, the President will appoint the recommended names of the PRC. So, sila na ngayon ang bubuo ng ating Board of Radiologic Technologies. So, yan ang process ha. So, since the members of the Board of RadTech, the chairman and the members of the Board of RadTech are appointed by the President, kung may reklamo tayo or may tiwaling ginagawa or may kasalanang nagawa ang ating members and chairmans of the Board of RadTech, only the President can remove him from his position. So, magre-recommend lang tayo, limbawa may reklamo ako sa chairman. So, magre-recommend ako doon, susulat ako sa part. Then the part, upon investigation, found out that to be valid. So, the part will recommend it to the commission or the PRC. Then the PRC will recommend it to the President. Then, upon further investigation, the President will remove the chairman, for example. Okay, so ganun yung process. So, hindi sila pwedeng mapaalis ng part, hindi sila pwedeng mapaalis ng PRC. So, only the President can remove them from their position. So, Section 7, ito yung sinasabi ko, the qualifications of the board members or the members of the Board of Radiologic Technologies. So, each member of the board shall at the time of his appointment. So, pag sinabi kong member, kasama na dun yung chairman. Okay? So, must be a citizen and resident of the Philippines. So, hindi pwedeng foreigner. Be of good moral character, at least 30 years of age, and hindi sila dapat member ng faculty, full-time man or part-time or lecturer sa isang school or college or university na nag-o-offer ng radiologic technology. Or hindi sila dapat magkaroon ng personal interest, directly man or indirectly, like for example, if they have review centers for RadTechs, or if they are planning to put up a review center later after appointment. So that is, they are not qualified pag ganon. So again, hindi pwedeng maging member. So halimbawa, if you are already a member of the faculty or lecturer ka sa isang school, or you are a president of that school offering a RadTech, or if you are a part-time owner or business partner of a review center, but you really want to be one of the members of the board, so you can resign. So pag nag-resign ka, so hindi ka nakasali dun sa mga nabanggit ko, so you can now be qualified to become members of the Board of RadTech. Okay? So 3 members, including the chairman, shall at the time of their appointment must have at least 10 years practice of RadTech prior to their appointment. So, ang sabi ko kanina, we have 3 RadTechs, 1 radiologist, and 1 medical physicist. So, ang requirements sa RadTech specifically, so aside from those mentioned kanina, 30 years of age, good moral character, not members of a faculty, pecuniary interest, and so on. So aside from those, dapat 10 years na sila nagsiserve as RadTechs. So either sa academe or sa hospitals or clinics. So before sila umupo, before they can be appointed, so dapat naka 10 years na sila ng experience. Provided that the 3 RadTechs appointed as members of the first board shall be deemed automatically registered as RadTechs upon assumption of their duties. So, ito naman, nilagay nila na according dito, yung 3 RadTech na na-appoint as members of the first board of RadTech, automatic na sila na magiging registered RadTech. Okay. Di ba sabi natin kanina, so before 1992, wala pa siyang board exam ang RadTech. So, noong 1969, yung first graduate came from the Emilio Aguinaldo College. Pero wala pang board exam ng time na yon. So if they want to work in the hospitals, ang kailangan nila ay pumasa sa mga practical examinations given by the DOH, the Radiation Health Services, and similar authorities. So dahil wala pang PRC nung time na yon. So during this time, noong 1992, so since ang ating PRC was established in 1994, so ang sabi dito is yung mga napiling 3 RadTech na maging members ng Board of RadTech, first Board of RadTech, automatic, they will be regarded as registered RadTechs. So hindi na nila kailangan kumuha ng PRC licensure examination, automatic na. Kaya yung chairman natin, yung first chairman of the board, who was Dr. Fortunato C. Gabon Jr., yung kanyang PRC ID sa RadTech is 0001. Okay, so siya yung pinakauna. So, syempre, dapat radiologic technologist sila. Then, 1 member of the board shall at the time of his appointment be a radiologist and has at least 10 years of experience then. So, ganun din sa medical physicist. Medical physicist and has at least 10 years of experience. So take note also, it is important to remember that sa 3 RadTechs, isang radio at isang medical physicist, so di ba 5 sila. Ang chairman must always be a RadTech. So hindi pwedeng maging chairman ng board ang radiologist, hindi pwedeng maging chairman ng board ang medical physicist. Dapat RadTech lang ang chairman. Okay? So unlike sa other professions, like I think sa MedTech, yung chairman ng board nila, ng Board of MedTech, is a pathologist who is a doctor. So sa atin, dapat RadTech. Then we have Section 8. The term of office. The members of the board shall hold office for a term of 3 years from the date of their appointment until their successor shall have been appointed and duly qualified. So usually daw, regularly, normally, generally, 3 years lang dapat ang term of office ng members in the Board of RadTech. So, members and chairman. Pero, pag wala pang sumunod sa kanila, wala pang na-appoint, na qualified, so sila pa rin ang uupo. Provided that the first appointees to the board shall hold office for the following terms. The chairman, so 3 years ang kanyang term of office. The 2 RadTech members, 2 years. And then the medical physicist and the radiologist, 1 year each. So bali sa tatlong RadTech, so sa chairman, and then first RadTech, second RadTech. So 3 years ang term of office. Ito sila 2 years, 2 years. Then yung radio, 1 year lang. And then yung medical physicist, 1 year lang din. So, yan ideally ang nakasaad sa ating RA 7431 Section 8 Term of Office. Again, may provisions kung wala pang successors, wala pang qualified na appointed ang president, so they will remain in their office. Next, Section 9, Duties and Functions of the Board of RadTech. The board shall have the following duties and functions: to enforce the provisions of this act. So sila yung magpapatupad to make sure na napapatupad ng mabuti ang lahat na nakasaad dito sa RA 7431. To administer oaths in accordance with the provision of this act. So during oath taking, after you pass the board exam, you will have your oath taking. So yung Board of RadTech ang nagpapasimuno ng oath taking. To issue and after due investigation, suspend or revoke certificates of registration for the practice of RadTechs and X-ray tech. So ang ating Board of RadTech, sila din ang pwedeng mag-issue ng certificate of registration, as I have mentioned kanina. Then also, after due investigation, sila lang din ang may karapatang mag-suspend ng ating license, ng certificate of registration, and mag-revoke ng certificate of registration. So, halimbawa, question, what if yung license mo or yung PRC license mo is revoked or suspended? Pero yung certificate of registration mo is still anong tawag dito, live, still updated, basta hindi pa siya nare-revoke ng board nyo. So you are still not revoked. Hindi ko lang maano yung correct term. So active pala. So, active pa ang certificate of registration dahil hindi pa siya nare-revoke o nasususpend ng Board of RadTech. Pero yung license natin, from the PRC, na-revoke na siya. So, we can still practice. So, technically. So, we can still practice as RadTechs because we still have an active certificate of registration as a RadTech or an X-ray tech. Pero halimbawa, na-revoke na ng board ang ating certificate of registration, pero ang ating license ay active pa rin. So can we still practice? No, because the certificate of registration was already revoked or suspended. So bali ito yung pinakamataas na proof as a professional. Okay? So kasi yung license natin sa PRC, parang ID lang siya, identification siya. Ito yung talagang pinaka-proof na you are a professional X-ray tech or RadTech. So ito yung license natin, yung ID natin sa PRC, nire-renew every 3 years. So every 3 years kailangan mag-renew. Ang certificate of registration natin, hindi siya nire-renew. Isang bigayan lang. After you pass the board exam, after oath taking, after getting a copy from the PRC, so ipapa-frame na siya. So yun na yung copy mo. Hindi na siya kailangan i-renew. Because forever, you will be a registered RadTech, professional RadTech, or X-ray tech unless otherwise masuspend ka or ma-revoke. In case mawala mo siya, masira yung certificate, or ma-misplace mo siya, masunog, or whatsoever, pwede ka namang mag-request ulit. Okay? So, but your name will still be in the roster of professional RadTechs na nasa copy ng PRC at ng Board of RadTech. Okay? So, I hope that is clear. So, in addition to those functions, the Board of RadTech also functions to investigate any violation of this act of the rules and regulations issued thereunder, as may come to the knowledge of the board, and for this purpose, to issue subpoena and subpoena ducis tecum. So, I hope you still remember the difference between the two. Subpoena is to come sa court as a witness. Subpoena ducis tecum as a witness with documents. So, subpoena or subpoena testificandum. Testificandum. So, subpoena testificandum to testify na wala ka na kailangan daling papel. So, ikaw lang dapat present. Yung katawang lupa mo is present doon. Pero pag subpoena ducis tecum, so yourself with the required documents. To allege violators or witnesses to secure their attendance in investigations or hearings, and the production of books, papers, and documents in connection therewith, and compel their attendance by the power to cite and punish for contempt. So, isa sa mga duties and functions din ng ating Board of RadTech is mag-investigate. Kung sakaling may na-receive sila ng information or report na may somebody na nag-violate ng ating RA 7431. So, they also have the power to issue subpoena testificandum and subpoena ducis tecum doon sa mga witnesses or violators. And then, sila din yung mag-make sure na during hearings, present ang mga involved persons. Then, they shall also be responsible for making sure that the proper documentations are brought during the hearings, and sila rin ang pwedeng mag-punish ng cite for contempt. Halimbawa, pinatawag ako ng Board of RadTech dahil kailangan ko mag-witness, or pinatawag ako ng Board of RadTech dahil may nagre-reklamo sa akin. So pag hindi ako dumating doon, despite receiving the invitation or despite receiving a letter of demand from the Board of RadTech, so pwede nila akong ma-cite for contempt dahil hindi ako nag-follow sa na-receive ko na discretion na paper or documents, then pwede akong maparusahan. Okay? Also, the Board of RadTech is obliged to conduct yearly board exams to RadTechs and X-ray Tech examinees under the supervision of the PRC. So, ang Board of RadTech, sila ang gumagawa ng mga board exam questions natin, and they have to submit it to the PRC because the PRC will be the one supervising the exam. Okay? So, kaya sa PRC tayo nag-a-apply dahil ang PRC ang nagsusupervise ng ating board exam. Pero yung mga questions ay galing sa ating Board of RadTech. So, in addition to those duties and functions, so the Board of RadTech has the duty to look from time to time into the condition affecting the practice of RadTech and X-ray Tech in the Philippines, and adopt such measures as may be deemed necessary for the maintenance of the standards and ethics of the profession. So from time to time, kaya nag-upgrade tayo, may mga bagong curriculums ngayon, mga bagong practices, because tinitingnan din siya, pinag-aaralan ng Board of RadTech kung Naaakma pa ba, naaayon pa ba sa panahong ito yung mga practices natin na nakasanayan? Or kailangan nating mag-upgrade? Dahil sa ibang countries, nag-upgrade na din, so kailangan maging globally competitive tayo mga RadTechs dito sa Philippines. Okay? And also, they are obliged, they have the duty and function to make sure that the standard or the code of ethics for RadTechs are always followed. Also to promulgate such rules and regulations as may be necessary to carry out the provisions of this Act, provided that the same shall be issued only after the approval thereof by the Commission. So yung mga Board of RadTech, pwede rin silang mag-issue ng rules and regulations na tingin nila ay kailangan para mas mapatupad yung batas ng RadTech, para mas mapatupad yung RA 7431. So provided, pwede lang siyang ma-issue at maging official if the PRC has approved of that rules and regulations. So for example, yung rules, isa sa mga rules na in-issue ng ating Board of RadTech is that yung mga license na X-ray tech pero graduate ng BSRT, so if they want to take the board exam to have a license for BSRT, so hindi na nila kailangang umulit ng 5 exam. Di ba sa board exam, 5 subjects siya. So, if ako halimbawa, graduate ako ng ART before, then I took the board exam, then I passed, so I am now a professional X-ray tech. And then I studied again, nag-aral ulit ako, and then nakagraduate ako ng BSRT. So kailangan ko rin kumuha ulit ng board exam para yung license ko maging BSRT, maging RadTech na, registered RadTech. So bali magiging pag pinalad, magiging dalawa na yung license ko. I am a licensed X-ray tech and a licensed RadTech. And sa initial na rules ng Board of RadTech, pag kukuha na ako ng board exam for RadTech, RadSci na lang ang kukunin ko. Hindi ko na kailangang umulit na kumuha ng physics, ng image production, positioning, patient care, etc. So yung 4 na clusters, hindi ko na kukunin. So yung kukunin ko na lang is yung RadSci. Isang subject na lang. And when I pass, I will now become a registered RadTech, and at the same time, I am also a registered X-ray tech. Okay? So, isa yun sa mga halimbawa ng rules and regulations na na-promulgate or na-formulate and naipatupad ng ating Board of RadTech recently. So, before that, before nila in-issue, I think 2015 or 2016 yata yung nag-take effect. So, before that, before 2015 or 2016, so lahat ng mga nakagraduate ng BS na licensed X-ray tech, so 5 subjects pa rin ang kinukuha nila. So mas mahirap yon. So dahil kailangan nila mag-aral ulit, so back to zero from physics, image pro, positioning, contrast, etc. But because of these new orders or regulations of the board, so isang subject na lang kukunin para maging licensed RadTech na ang mga licensed X-ray tech. Okay? So I hope that is clear. Then also, to adopt a seal to authenticate its official documents, the board shall exercise these powers and duties in accordance with the PD 223 or the PRC. So kailangan ng ating Board of RadTech ay may official seal na gagamitin, or yung mga dry seal na ginagamit nila, na gagamitin to make sure na authenticated ang mga documents na pinapublish nila. Like yung ating Certificate of Registration, so may dry seal siya ng Board of RadTech. So that is official seal. That is approved by the Commission or the PRC.